5 years ago, I bought this, the Scorkl, a handy tank that lets you breathe underwater. And this is my experience as a user. The Scorkl is a small little tank that carries enough air for several minutes underwater. It essentially builds a bridge between snorkeling and diving. That is their USP and what also caught my attention when I first came across the product. With each fill, the Scorkl is claimed to last you about 10 minutes and even up to 12 minutes when using Scorkl Pro. It features an always-on regulator, and with its working pressure of 200 bar, it can be refilled at a dive compressor, with a hand pump, or directly from a full-size scuba tank using the included adapter. Now, even though Scorkl is a product that anyone can use and is tested under rigid scuba performance and quality standards, it is essential that it is treated with the same respect and safety measures in mind that apply to every other underwater breathing device. It is not a toy, and basic diving safety guidelines such as not holding your breath while ascending must be adhered to ensure safe use. Before diving with Scorkl, make sure that you familiarize yourself with the detailed safety guidelines on their website. Make sure that you are well prepared. So, let's have a look at how Scorkl performs in real life and at what I have learned in the last 5 years. I love the ocean. I always have. And since I first came to Egypt in 2017, I love it even more. But back then, I only knew it from the surface snorkeling. That was beautiful for sure, and a day out at the reef was fascinating. Yet it always left me wondering what it would be like being just a few meters deeper. Of course, one can go in a dive. Yet, to me, divers have always been slow, carrying an abundance of gear and lacking the general flexibility of a snorkeler. And when Scorkl came along and promised an easy entry into this underwater world, I just couldn't resist but fund their crowdfunding campaign. The sheer thought of 10 consecutive minutes underwater, with no need for safety stops or additional equipment, sounded almost too good to be true. It was exactly what I was looking for, a solution that would let me swim at the surface just as before, yet whenever I would spot something interesting, allow me to dive down and experience it from up close. Essentially exploring the ocean on my terms and capturing unique images along the way, from down below instead of up above. That was 5 years ago. Today I'll share my experience before putting Scorkl's promises to the test. You'll find all chapters below the video if you'd like to skip ahead. Enjoy. Most days I would choose to go for a dive in the morning. The beach is empty, and so is the ocean. And here in Marsa Alam, the wind is calmer. 2 Scorkl turned into many, and I still use the first batch today. And even after all handles have long been routine, the excitement of heading out is still the very same as on day 1. Exploring the ocean just never gets boring. My first advice regards preparation on land, way before I'd even go into the water. It might sound annoying, but the prep you put in before you start is the most important. First of all, make sure you have reliable snorkeling gear of good quality. A set of short fins is perfectly fine, as long freediving fins stir up a lot of sand when near the ground and are harder to handle overall, especially when you're starting out. As for mask and snorkel, I prefer a snorkel that can be clipped to your dive mask. This way you don't lose it in the water when you switch from breathing surface air to breathing from the Scorkl. When diving, your best friend is a clean and clear mask. Take the time to properly clean it before you dive, and to me, there are better ways to keep it fog-free than burning it with a lighter or spitting on the glass. I will put a link to all the products I use below as well. Now to the process of filling up the tank. Coming with the Scorkl, you will find everything you need to fill it in many ways. Yet personally, I have always chosen to use the included adapter to transfer air from a bigger tank. It is fast and easy, and you will find them at every dive site. You can even take them on a boat with you for easy refills on the go. Depending on the tank's port, you might need to use an additional adapter ring to connect your Scorkl accessory. Chances are your dive center has got them ready anyway, but it is wise to get one online just in case, as well as an Allen key, as they are both reasonably cheap. Once your Scorkl is attached, let the air begin to flow slowly and keep checking your Scorkl's temperature to avoid a hot fill. If you're too fast, this will actually reduce your dive time, as hot air will first expand and later contract again once the Scorkl gets cooled by the surrounding water. I also tend to only fill the tank to about 190 bar, as it is easy on the parts and reduces the risk of a regulator free flow event to a minimum. If you have more than one Scorkl with you, you'll be able to fill about 4 units from the same tank before the pressure drops too low. Once you're all set, it's time to head into the water. When swimming at the surface with Scorkl, please resist the urge to have the regulator facing forward or even jump into the water regulator first. When moving slowly, that might be fine, yet as soon as you pick up speed, the water pressure at the front is likely to push the valve on top, allowing air to escape through the mouthpiece. Therefore, it is best to flip the Scorkl around and always let the bottom face ahead. This is also the orientation I prefer during descent, and you will get used to it pretty quickly. Once you have found something interesting in the water and decide to dive, make sure to first rest a few seconds at the surface before going down, especially if you've been swimming for a while. Look around and make yourself aware of your surroundings, both at the surface as well as below. Then, take a breath with your Scorkl to ensure that it is working fine and that it is at a suitable pressure level. Technically, you could already start breathing from your Scorkl now, yet in order to save air, I recommend you to instead hold your breath during your descent and start using your air later. In preparation for your dive, hold the Scorkl and any other equipment you might carry in one hand and keep your other hand free, as you will need it to equalize pressure throughout your descent. Now, take a deep breath before diving down on the second one. Keep equalizing pressure all the way as you are going down, and once you've reached your desired depth, simply place the mouthpiece in your mouth and breathe out sharply to get rid of all the water in the regulator, allowing you to start breathing. Again, take a moment to adjust yourself to your surroundings, and now you're ready to enjoy your dive with Scorkl. If for any reason you decide to take the regulator out of your mouth or accidentally drop it, a sharp breath is all it takes to start breathing again. Also, if it falls, it will not float to the surface. While you're diving, it is not necessary to hold your Scorkl all the time, as it is practically weightless underwater. That allows you to explore freely and to focus yourself on other things. Yet, if you're going fast, you will experience some drag, and then it's more comfortable to keep it steady with one hand. This option of hands-free operation is one of Scorkl's greatest features, and really makes you feel like you're James Bond and are using one of Q's latest gadgets. Absolutely fantastic. Once time is up, simply rise to the surface again. Do that slowly and do not hold your breath. As using Scorkl does not require safety stops, you may choose to end your dive at any time, which is super convenient. I usually take one last breath before taking Scorkl out of my mouth and then exhale throughout the entire ascent. This to me is the safest option, as I won't accidentally take another breath while rising, and just as when diving down, this also saves air inside the tank in case I want to take multiple dives on one fill. Back at the surface, simply return to breathing through your snorkel, and you're done. When you're starting out with Scorkl and don't carry any additional equipment during your dive, what you will be doing underwater the most is swimming. And that's great, as swimming means you'll stay in control of depth and direction, and it is an ideal way to explore the reef or follow any moving object. The air inside your lungs will always force you to rise, yet as long as you keep moving, you easily counter this force and won't think of it much. Yet as soon as your chased object stops, you will experience what I mean. Suddenly, you will find yourself struggling to keep your current depth level, resulting in weird circular motions around your point of interest, which first of all looks funny and stirs up a lot of sand, but also makes you burn through a lot of extra air, dramatically reducing your dive time. The solution to this problem is a weight belt. Personally, I feel comfortable with adding 5 extra kilos when wearing a 3mm wetsuit, and with 3 kilos when diving without one. Keep in mind that any extra weight on your body will also make it harder to swim at the surface, so know the risk and start slowly. Best bring a buddy with you. Yet the key to longer dives is staying calm and moving less. And don't worry, adding weight doesn't mean you'll carry around an anchor. You will still be as agile as before, ideally just cancelling out that upward drift. And this is where the magic of Scorkl really unfolds. Eliminating the need for constant adjustments allows you to put your hands to better use, like operating a professional camera, and completely immerse yourself in the moment. You will now find yourself in the role of the relaxed observer, similar to what you do gazing down from the surface. Just now, you do it from the best seat in the house. This is where you really get to experience the underwater world around you. And you will also get to realize how long a full minute underwater actually feels like, let alone 10. This simple change made me appreciate Scorkl so much more and has rewarded me with the best encounters in the ocean. These few suggestions should speed up your learning curve when you're a beginner, or help you to further enhance your dives in case you already own a Scorkl. When starting out, remember that staying calm and focused is the most important. Add any additional gear or task one by one, and you are heading for a great time underwater. Last but not least, I've taken both the Scorkl as well as the Scorkl Pro out for a test, because I was curious to see just how close they would come in terms of dive time, compared to the times that Scorkl advertises. For that, I gave both bottles a usual fill of 190 bar, and swam out to a suitable place in the ocean, and dropped a camera where the water would be around 4 meters deep. The Scorkl is set to be used up to a depth of 6 meters, so 4 seemed to be a reasonable middle ground. Both times I'll be wearing my weight belt to help me save energy, exactly what I do on a regular dive. Below this video you will find 2 links to the full and uncut clips of these dives, so you can clock in your own timer if you'd like. First up is the regular Scorkl. For that the company sets out a 10-minute maximum. As soon as I went down, I realized that for the first time I might now actually get bored underwater, as I had nothing to do. The first minutes went by and everything went as expected. So I just checked the dive parameters and watched the seconds pass before staring into the blue, trying to spot any fish, turtle or diver, yet I stayed alone and just had to wait it out. Approaching the 10-minute mark, my Scorkl was still far from empty, and I was now excited to see how long it would stay like that. Ultimately, I took my last breath around 12 minutes after starting my dive, which was way more than I expected. In total, the dive clocked out at 12 minutes and 11 seconds, more than 2 minutes over the advertised 10 minutes that Scorkl promises. Of course, this is the gross dive time that benefits from me holding my breath in the beginning, but even if I subtract those 20 seconds, it still is a remarkable result. Keep in mind that you could also fit in 10 more bar of pressure if you really wanted to push for the maximum. Now, The Scorkl Pro was tested under the same conditions, also at a depth of around 4 meters. This time I knew what I was in for, so I got myself a little something to help time pass faster. Yet as you can see, this is the first time I ever used a Rubik's Cube, and I had absolutely no idea of the clever patterns you need to use in order to solve it efficiently. So this thing did a great job in keeping me busy as I waited for the air to run out. Finally, at around 13 minutes and 40 seconds, I decided to ascend, and this dive totaled just over 14 minutes. Again, about 2 minutes longer than advertised. So yes, the times that Scorkl quotes are realistic. In fact, they even account for a higher air consumption than I had in this test, which is great. In the end, your individual pace and breathing habits will determine how much time you will get out of your Scorkl when underwater, just as it will on any scuba dive. Over time, as you feel more comfortable and calmer, your dive times will continuously improve. No matter at what skill level you start, Scorkl definitely packs enough air to allow you to enjoy your time. So, coming to a close, was the Scorkl worth it? Well, I still remember how it all began and how I took my first Scorkl dive years ago. I still absolutely love that I can snorkel through the reef or bay as usual, and whenever I see something interesting coming my way, have the ability to go down instantly. I am much faster and more flexible compared to a diver and carry almost none of the gear. It really is as simple as it sounds. In that way, Scorkl has definitely given me what they proclaim as their main message: underwater freedom. For me, it's safe to say that without the Scorkl, I would have missed so many beautiful moments in the ocean. It, in essence, offers access to a world that otherwise only divers can enter. And over time, as I learned more and more, I was able to add additional gear to my setup, greatly improving the ways I was able to use Scorkl, which allowed me to capture video in ways I never thought possible. And that's just me. There's an infinity of user scenarios where the Scorkl would excel, from swimming in lakes or pools to minor underwater maintenance work and many others. Personally, I've taken it on more than 300 individual dives. Through all of this, Scorkl has been a reliable and durable companion. Yet Scorkl will also not leave you alone in the rain if you do need help. They provide excellent after-sales support, and during my years of use I had 2 warranty cases regarding regulators, and both times these were resolved immediately and I received complimentary replacements. I've been assisted by the owner himself, David, and I wish him and Scorkl all the best, as it is a fantastic product that for me has added lots of joy to my life. This year I have filmed and released a documentary on the life of green sea turtles here in the Red Sea, and for all scenes underwater, I entirely relied on the Scorkl tanks. Filming in the ocean was an incredible experience, and Scorkl was a big part of that. You will also find a link to that video in the description. That's all for now. Happy snorkeling. Take care.